Yo, what's up, dude? This is Joshy J. Welcome. Today I'm going to go through concept art versus illustration, and this, such an interesting thing is I have so much to say about this that I usually plan roughly the things I'm going to discuss in my videos, but I actually didn't even plan that much for this because I just know I think about this like the whole day just while I'm doing things. And how it all applies to me and how I can give this advice. And I thought there's so much to say on this. It's just so intimate that I don't even need to really plan that much because it flows so naturally. Because I just know at my heart of heart, I'm a concept artist, not a full illustrator. And I respect the illustrators that I do know in the industry because they make such epic work. And I think we need both of them in the art career, in the art industry, and both of them actually have different types of personalities that go with each one. So I know for me as a concept artist, I like to work a lot more roughly. So that's kind of a lot of the main difference with a concept artist and an illustrator is that concept artists are a lot more idea generated. So they are there to generate a lot of ideas and creative ideas, and you can learn a lot from illustration work because it teaches you how to render well, and you learn a lot of easy, cool, interesting rendering tricks. But what it can't teach you is pure ideas. Like you can render out a mushroom to like the end of the earth, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a mushroom. But if you're a concept artist and you know like how to render vaguely well, but you have a lot of interesting ideas about mushrooms, like is this a mech mushroom? Is there glowing crystals on this mushroom? Is this a huge mushroom or a small one? And that's where the concept artist comes in. So that's where the artist that likes to tell stories through it. I think that's probably the other main thing about a concept artist is you have to be a good storyteller. So you have to be able to articulate, you have to be able to tell a story through the visual. And the reason why they need each other is because when you have a solid story in lock, then you go out and paint it beautifully and people are like, this is actually insane because there's a wild, cool story going on in this image, but it also looks beautiful as well. So it's like both of them kind of need each other. So it's like it would be very rough if it was just straight up concept art, and it might lack ideas if it was just an illustration with no kind of story. So that's the cool part. I actually like to learn from both. I know in my heart of hearts I'm a concept artist. I like to generate a lot of ideas and I like to generate them quickly, and I like to not really get attached to them. Because I know that a lot of the beginning ones I might not even use, or you might not discover what you would discover if you didn't iterate. That's why iterations are so important as a concept artist, to be able to go through different versions and different ways of combining interesting things that you would never have thought would have been, you never thought you could piece them together. But you do, because you just feel like you want to see what will happen. And I know like since I was a kid, that's kind of been the most, like a core part of me is like, let me just do something to see what will happen. Like just to see what the outcome will be. It got me in a lot of trouble as a kid, but I think it built me into kind of who I am. And I know that that's a core part of me aligns so strongly with being a conceptual artist, an idea generator. A lot of ideas come from just trying things that you think wouldn't work or the people think wouldn't work, but you just want to try to see if it will, and it leads to another one. So that's the beauty of it. It kind of, even if it doesn't work, it might spark something else that might form a combination that you never would have thought before, or someone else wouldn't have thought before. And it's amazing because you get to discover things along the way. So that's the coolest part for me about being a concept artist, is I get to go through the process as a journey, like a backpacking journey, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to end up with, but I know that I'm going to find all these gems along the way, and by the end of it I'm going to have a treasure chest full of gems that I would never have had if I just started with the first thing. And then you kind of take all of these things that you've discovered, all these thumbnails that you've done, and you put them into, or for me at least, what I do when I do concept art is I would generate a lot of thumbnails, and when I have a set one and a set idea, and I can visually see it, I then want to lean more into the illustration part of things, and I want to render this character out really well, or this environment out really well, because I want to show that I can actually paint really well, but I can also generate ideas really well. So that's why it's good to have both. So when you're looking at illustration, you've kind of taken all these amazing ideas that you've come up with and that you've generated, and you kind of now like, okay, I'm going to paint the heck out of this thing so it looks so sick. And it's different for different people. I know realism artists, they strive obviously for realism, so they have a different aesthetic that they lean towards in their portfolio. For me, I do stylized art. So I do art that necessarily might break some rules, but it still looks cool. It's just a personal thing, but it is an illustration technique that a lot of people do. Illustrators, they're both, with illustration, it leans a lot towards style, the way you execute things. That's illustration. So it's the way you execute whatever, the way you execute things. That's what illustration is. So in my portfolio, you'll only see stylized work. I don't want to work on realistic games unless I can do, I don't want to do illustration work for realistic games. I don't mind doing the concept art for them because I know I could generate ideas for them, but maybe the rendering style might not align too much. So with illustration, it's also a personality thing. It's different per person. So some people are natural illustrators. I know I have some artist friends who are just natural illustrators. You give them like banger ideas and they'll spend like a week on one painting and they'll be happy to do that. Some people love doing that. They love spending a long time on one piece. I just know I would get exceptionally bored if I did that, but that's just because I'm more of a concept artist at heart. But it's amazing to see someone spend a week on a painting and it's just the most beautiful painting ever. And it's inspiring to see someone with that much, I actually don't even know what to call it, but to be okay with spending that long on one painting, to kind of polish it to the point of no return. I remember my art mentor gave me this graph, and he said, like, when you start, the graph exponentially rises, and the more hours you get into, the more it levels off and plateaus. And then you need to, at that point, you kind of decide, like, where do you want to stop rendering this thing? And I just know for myself, when I'm rendering something out, I don't want to spend more than like 5 or 6 hours max rendering something, because I know for concept art type stuff, I get to the visual impact a lot quicker. So I would get to the full impact of the image, the composition, the colors, the lighting, etc. I get to very quickly, and then after that I render it out, and I would actually rather ship that, like, as soon as I get to that point, ship it off to some of my illustrator friends and be like, yo, can you like render this thing out, because I've done all the thinking work, all the leg work. All you need to do is just polishing. And the people who don't mind polishing, that's great for them, because they don't really need to think too much about composition and lighting and colors, etc. They just need to polish. They're kind of like cleaning things up a little bit more. I don't mind cleaning things up, actually. I feel like when I've generated such an amazing concept and composition and a cool light source that's interesting, or character that's interesting, I'm like, I actually think I've given myself the right to like render this thing out, because it's such an interesting idea that I've come up with, and that's where kind of the difference is between illustration and concept art. And it's so great to be able, if the ultimate is when you can do both really well. I know a lot of my favorite artists do both very well. The stylized artists that I follow that can do both are, for me, the most attractive, because they get to they can generate cool ideas, and you can see it in their portfolio. They just have thumbnails and thumbnails and thumbnails of the same concept, but a different type of way of doing it. And then you see one fully fledged rendered out piece, and you're like, okay, these guys are like a powerhouse. They get to do both. In the line of work that I do, it's mainly concept art. It's mainly ideas. So the times that I do get to render things out, it's actually quite a blessing, because it's a little bit of a change from what I would usually do. And I know it's really fun for me. I love to do both, actually. I just love art. As you guys know, if you follow my channel, you'll know I just loved anything to do with art, anything to do with making cool art. That's what I do. So this is the difference between concept art and illustration. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say on the difference between concept art and illustration. If you can find a partner or a friend or a co-worker or someone to subcontract to that has different skills than you do, it's rad, because you get to send stuff to them that you know that they're better at. And I know this is the way that I like to build my teams, or that I would like to, the people that I like to work with is the people who are better than me at things that I have not learned yet. So some of my friends are amazing animators, and I know that all the animation work that I get, I know that they're better than me, and I know that we would both benefit from the project, because I know that I'm a fairly good director, creative director, an art director, and a good idea generator, concept art generator, maybe a storyboard artist. But to animate the thing is, I'm not as good as them, so I would definitely partner up with them. So that's the cool part, is that you have, if you have friends that have different skills to you, like the different skills between illustration and concept art, that's where powerful teams come from. Like, you look at all the teams that have created cool projects, they all have such a diverse set of skills, and that's the coolest thing. And I know the teams and the types of people that I want to work with, they need to be different to me. They need to have different stuff to me. Same values, different skills. That's kind of where it lies for me. Cool, dudes. Thank you so much for sticking through. If you like my artwork, if you like these videos, share it with your friends if you think they'll get something from it, or anyone. And you can check out my Instagram or ArtStation for more artwork. But otherwise, I will check you guys in the next one. Cheers.